No. Good afternoon. This is Yvonne Wessa with Short Sale Advocates in St. Louis, Missouri. Today we're going to talk about what happens if you do nothing when you are about to miss or missing mortgage payments. So the definition of a short sale again is if you have to sell your home and your mortgage, your loan on your home is higher, if you owe higher than what the market will bring in the sale of your house. And for instance, if you owe $100,000 on your loan and the home value is $80,000, or even if it's $95,000. $95,000 by the time you figure closing costs, commissions, and the things necessary, taxes and things on the closing statement, that will still bring you maybe $10,000 short to pay off the lien at closing. If you have $10,000, you can bring it to the table at closing. If you don't have $10,000, a short sale is a good option. So some of the issues that we have that people cause themselves a great more pain than necessary is mainly because they freeze up, they are afraid, they don't want to admit, especially my older people, were brought up to believe that they should go without food or medicine rather than miss a mortgage payment. Please don't do that. There is just silly because eventually you're going to be without food and medicine and you're still going to have trouble with the process of selling your home. My younger people, they're more apt to be afraid to admit even to themselves that they have an issue with their mortgage. Things happen to people. It's things that are out of control. I would say in 17 years of dealing with short sales, I have had one person who was really trying to take advantage of the system. Only one out of hundreds of people. The rest either lost a job, got divorced. Some cases you've heard me talk about people getting married and finding themselves holding two homes. They decide which one they want to live in, but they still have to deal with the second home because many times they're both underwater. So there's a lot of reasons, and they're very legitimate reasons. They're just life happening to people. Older people are more embarrassed to admit to their neighbors or their family that they have to do a short sale. I wish I could wave a magic wand and make all of that go away because the stress people impose on themselves, and there really is no other good solution but to talk to someone and work it out. The other issue is just call the bank. If you run into trouble, call your bank. At least let them know that you are going to be in trouble or that you are in trouble. They will work with you. They'll give you the options that I've selected to let you know about, and that's a foreclosure, deed in lieu, a short sale, or if you have it, bring money to the table to make a closing. I have people tell me all the time that they go online and they find out that there's a lot of information about how difficult short sales are, and they just don't talk to anyone until they get an auction date. The auction date comes if you've missed 3 mortgage payments or 4 mortgage payments. It's kind of automatic. If you happen to go longer than that, and once in a while, a bank, it's not that you don't get a foreclosure notice. A notice means that your mortgage is living in the short sale department of the bank. That's a department all its own at the bank. Nothing really is going to happen until you get a letter from the bank giving you a foreclosure auction date. At that point, I can no longer help people. I used to be able to rush and get all the documents done and list the house and get an offer, but it is impossible to get that date moved anymore. The bank has actually put the file in with a lawyer, a trustee, and they don't want to lose it. They do all the work to set the auction in place. And the bank frankly feels like if the homeowner wasn't concerned enough to call them and let them work with them, that the house is just going to go into foreclosure anyway. So don't hesitate. Call the bank, call our company. It's really a fairly easy system, regardless of how difficult it sounds online. It's fairly easy, even though it takes a while to close. People tell us all the time that once we get involved, they just kind of follow the bouncing ball. Realtors also tell me that they feel guilty at closing because they don't do much. They just follow our lead and we know what we're doing. So what I'd like to do is to give you kind of a biopsy of what goes on, the process for a short sale. The first thing we do, either we are contacted by the realtor or the homeowner, doesn't make any difference. The initial process is the same. If the realtor recommends us, we talk directly with the homeowner, and we send copies usually of all the documents that are needed to the realtor as well as the homeowner, just because the realtor will be involved and it gives them just an idea of how they can support us. There are times when the homeowner, believe it or not, there are still people who don't have internet, or they can't print things out. They can't scan things. If a realtor is involved, that helps a lot because the realtor can help us collect those initial documents. The first thing we need is a third-party authorization. The third-party authorization allows the homeowners actually giving us permission to speak on their behalf with their bank. That takes a lot of the load off of the homeowner because we are able to contact the bank, find out exactly where they are in the process. And after that, we can kind of give you an idea of how long the process will take. We have two new files that are both conventional loans. Conventional loans are loans that are held generally by the bank, by the bank itself. They don't usually have FHA, Fannie Mae, or Freddie Mac involved, but they may have an out-of-town, out-of-country investor. We'll find all that out when we talk to the bank. Regardless of who is involved on the the lender side, the person who actually put the funds up for the loan, it is a shorter process, and it can be done in some cases in 6 weeks, the same from the time we get an offer, the same as a regular loan, a regular closing. If you add the government entities such as FHA, even the VA, it adds about 3 months. So meantime, while we're processing a short sale, there's a hold on foreclosure. Even if by chance we get a foreclosure date, as long as we're in the midst of the process, we can generally move or remove the date. So the key to all this, to relax and enjoy a more reasonable and sane process is to contact us as soon as possible, either when you know you're in trouble and you may have to miss a mortgage, or there are times, we just closed one a few days ago where the client never missed a mortgage payment. The hardship was something different. The mother lives out of the country. That's the home of the wife and is in critical condition. And the wife needed to go take care of her mother. And they're actually going to live part of the year in that country. They could not maintain a home, as you can well imagine, and be gone 3 or 4 or 5 months out of a year. And this would be kind of a permanent, temporary, permanent relationship. So they were so happy. That was a VA loan, and it was accepted as a hardship, and they never missed a mortgage payment. So their recovery will be a little less, because it will never show that they missed a mortgage payment on their loan, but it was processed the same as any other short sale. And there are many times. So if you're many times when people come to us, and it's not about missing a mortgage payment, it's about being in trouble and not being able to sell the home. We just received a hardship letter this morning because we're going to meet with the client tomorrow. And I always look at the hardship letter in advance to make sure it isn't long and dragged out, dragging on 3 or 4 pages, because we know the person looking at the hardship letter is just making sure that within that hardship letter, there is something of a accepted hardship. So we help our clients make it concise, make it so it's not tiny print, so that the bank representative doesn't have a hard time reading the document. Anyway, we'll look at that document for the client, not change the hardship, but we may take out some of the extraneous stuff that will not make a difference one way or the other, and make it easier for the bank to read. What they want even can be an outline of the date the hardship started, the progression of the hardship, if the hardship is a temporary or permanent. If it's financial, we look at the financial pages just to make sure, because to make sure that they have all their information correct, because a lot of people are intimidated by filling out a financial. And the main thing, what the bank is asking on the financial information page sometimes is limited, and there are other expenses. For instance, the bank may just ask for basic things like insurance, the mortgage or mortgages, income, and expenses. But a lot of times people have expenses that are not listed on the bank's inquiry page. Sometimes things like entertainment, cleaners, gas for your car. There are just things in people's lives they don't think about, but that are part of their regular expenses. The bank doesn't care what you need to spend your money on. They do care that because of those expenses, you do not have enough money to pay your mortgage if it's a financial hardship, or if it's not financial, they look to see that you are permanently going to be in a situation, or long enough, 4, 6, 8 months, a year, long enough that you are not able to sell the house and pay off the mortgage without a short sale. So it's just a process. there's a list of items that we give you ahead of time. And the list of items, there's maybe 8 to 10 things that you have to provide along with a hardship letter, which is number one. But you would have to provide these if you do a loan modification, if you're securing a loan, if you're dealing with your bank in any capacity. These are normal documents that are required. So you have the third-party authorization, which gives us permission to speak with the bank on your behalf. At 3 months bank statements, 2 years income tax returns, and you cannot do a short sale if you haven't paid your taxes. I'm going to divert a little bit because several times we've had, especially older people, who think when they reach 65, somehow they don't have to do a tax return. And we've had to get them in touch with a accountant to catch them up with their taxes. And I want to tell you, I think in every case, they have gotten money back on their taxes because there are normal credits for owning a home. And so they haven't been penalized. They've actually been rewarded for doing their taxes. But we must have 2 years tax returns. Now, as of April 17th, you would need the 2017 and the 2016 taxes. You need 2, sometimes 3 months bank statements. This includes any bank statement with your name on it. Recently, we had a short sale, almost ready to close, almost ready for the approval. And the bank discovered that our seller, homeowner, had 5 bank accounts that weren't on file, and they were the children's bank accounts. The children each had bank accounts when they were born, and money was put in them. We have to turn those in. It doesn't go into, as I say, it doesn't factor into their income or financials, but they have to be identified as the bank accounts. All we do is put a little note that this one is Jimmy's bank account, and he's 5, and this one is Cindy's bank account, and she's 9. So the point is to divulge your financial situation honestly. When the bank starts seriously considering your file, they will find out all of this information, and it just delays us because we could have done those explanations from the beginning. We especially have issues like this when we're dealing with a marriage where they've combined assets, combined tax records, combined bank statements, and actually the one spouse is not responsible for the other house, but we have to peel away all of the financials and send notes with every single bank statement. I had one occasion a few months ago where I met with the wife, and they had like 8 bank accounts between the two of them. Really, she wasn't involved in the finances. Her name was on everything after the marriage, as well as the tax return. It took 4 hours for me to write the notes that were necessary to go on each one of those files, but we never had an issue. The bank never questioned any of the accounts, and we really got the short sale within record time. I would say 2.5 months, maybe. It was a conventional loan, not a government investor. So the other things is with most files, it's a simple financial worksheet. It's 2 pages, mostly just income and money coming in and money going out. Sometimes, if there are items, expenses that are not on the list, we do an addendum A with the client. We list those additional expenses, and everything is taken into, factored into the balances. Anything, if you're self-employed, there's a few extra documents to be concerned about or to submit. And if you're retired or you have pensions, we have postal workers sometimes, and those pensions, you get award letters for Social Security annually. We turn in the, that's proof of income, and we have to turn in copies of the awards letters. But once you do that, once we submit all that with an offer, you really can just sit back and we let you know what's going on a regular basis. There are certainly times with some of the bigger banks where they continue, this is a whole different department, where they continue to call or contact our homeowner on a regular basis. I have sometimes, I don't know why they pay these people to do this, but at times they get calls and mail regularly. Sometimes the calls are twice a day. When I find out about it, we help the homeowner draft a letter to cease and desist and send it to the bank. And normally that stops the phone calls. So if you would like a copy of this homeowner checklist, email us and ask for a copy, and we will get it to you right away. So for sure, do not hesitate if you think you're going to be in trouble selling your home, or if you are in trouble. Don't wait until you've missed any mortgage payments. So contact us at www.shortsaleadvocatesllc.com or call us 314-590-3785. This is Yvonne Wessa with some little notes on the short sale process. Have a great day.